Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show, Serving Nerve, where we talk about whatever we want. And today we're going to be talking about Caroline Constanar. Pardon if I butcher her name, but she's butchering her audience at the moment, so I think this is the least likely offense that I could possibly perpetuate in this video, is misspelling or misstating her name. But the thing I have to point out is she is a social media influencer, and she's gaining that title well, because we all online, whether we're viewing online or we are online making content, don't like the title of influencer particularly because there's a lot of negative influence that comes with being an influencer. The reality of it is influencers also have commonly, when they blow up on YouTube, a lot of controversies and a lot of negative perspective that they garner because they usually have some level of ridiculousness that they apply on their channels and people don't like them. I know it sounds really stupid the way I'm saying this, but we have a lot of history on YouTube of social media influencers, and on the internet we have a lot of history of social media influencers doing and saying things that are absolutely degenerate, and they do it to get clicks, likes, and views online so that they can get clout and they can get money and they can get fame and they can get notoriety. The scale on this is endless. Like, people have always been faking something online, breakups, fake break-ins, fake marriages, all kinds of things, having breakdowns online, having videos where they say something controversial and then make an apology video later. We have a lot of history online of people in the wake of getting clout. They do stupid things, or they say stupid things, or they weaponize things against their audience to garner more views, likes, and clicks. Now, in this particular instance, this is a young woman who had stated in a previous video, before we get into her most controversial video that was uploaded about 4 days ago. In her previous video, she talked about how she had gotten pregnant. It was not an intentional pregnancy, and she was, talking about her fertility, her health. She was talking about her emotional state during the time, and she portrayed it as a very serious video about how she was actually pregnant and how this was a big deal to her because it's pregnancy. And listen, I have my sympathies. As a young person who doesn't know how they would cope if they got pregnant, seeing this kind of content would make me automatically supportive because it's hard. You have a lot of influence from individuals that surround you, either telling you that you should maybe give up the baby, maybe you should stick with the baby. You don't know how you're going to financially stabilize with that child. You don't know if you have a fortified relationship with whoever you have the child with. It's a complicated and complex situation. But then in a later video, she does state, actually, I was never pregnant to begin with. This was actually a satirical video, a social experiment on parasocial relationships, and how I've garnered a parasocial relationship with my audience because I was pregnant. And no, you just lied. There's a difference between making satire or making a parody of something or playing a joke on somebody and just blatantly lying and portraying a serious situation later to reveal that it's a lie. She literally talked about her fertility, her health. She talked about her emotional state in the video previously. And then in the current one, she has now said, I actually lost the baby. I lied. I never was pregnant to begin with. And this is all just because of parasocial relationships that I've garnered with my audience. This was a social experiment and it was not real. And no, I have to point out, no. I think this is a pretty, ignorant thing to kind of push on a channel and then, reveal later on. It's also semi-sociopathic in a sense. On my channel, I have a video that I have on my main page that talks about having a drink with a sociopath. And it's just me talking about the emotional disconnect that comes with individuals also online that have sociopathic tendencies. And in some instances, it's because to get clicks, likes, and views, you're willing to do just about anything. That video is fun to muse over, but in this current context, the reality is that she's just lied blatantly on her channel about being pregnant, and then tries to weaponize the concept of parasocial relationships and the idea of this being satire to kind of get away with it in a sense. And it doesn't really work that way. You have an audience who wanted to support you out of the kindness of being human, because we understand that a situation like that is pretty intense and difficult to deal with. 99% of your audience on YouTube does not have a parasocial relationship with you. Most of the time, they just like your content and you're pretty expendable to them. Maybe there are some individuals who would have a parasocial relationship develop in the wake of you becoming pregnant. But most people would support you just because, well, it's an unstable situation and you don't know how to deal with it. And you've portrayed in a previous video that you don't know how to really deal with it, or you're really uncertain of the future for yourself. And then in a later video, you come out and say, actually, this was a lie. You're just revealing a lie. And this is a pretty big lie. You lied about the development of human life. It's not like you lied about something more subjective or more financial or satirical or variable. You didn't lie about like your bank account balance. You didn't just say, hey, support my Patreon or I'm going to be homeless the next week. Like, we're lying about human life here. Like, and I'm not even trying to justify the other things. People have done those things and said those things, and it's pretty trashy as well. But to lie about the development of a fetus in a human body and then go on hiatus and then reveal later after a point of time that you lost the baby, that is a pretty screwed up way and a semi-sociopathic means of you trying to get your Patreon promoted and then also say, oh, it's because everybody has a parasocial relationship with me, instead of just understanding that there's this thing called, I don't know, sympathy, empathy, pity. These things exist, which is something she doesn't seem to understand because she has this very inflated perspective being on the internet of what people view her as and for. And, you know, sure, like, it's the internet. We're not here to always be your best friend. You know, most of the time, people are pretty unforgiving online. But there's a point where some people are just going to try and be kind to you. Out of the kindness of their hearts, they're going to maybe support you because you're in an unsupportive situation. And to take advantage of the kindness of people is not a good look. And to then say it's because of a parasocial relationship experiment is not also a good look. So today we're going to be looking at her video, I Lost the Baby, and we're going to break it down a little bit and take a look and see what this really is going to entail. And honestly, I'm not surprised. People lie online all the time, but honestly, this is pretty trash. So we're going to get into it. I'm going to break it down and we're going to take a look-see pop. I'm not going to lie, my people, I have no idea why people do this kind of thing. It doesn't look good. Like, I don't know about you guys, but when I see a prank video online that's playing on the emotions of other individuals, whether it's to benefit them later or to just, like, benefit themselves, there's, like, videos online that I've seen that, like, are pretty, like, playing on the emotions of other people, and I think they're in very poor taste, and those ones even benefit the individuals, where they, like, give them money at the end, like a prank video where somebody's like, I can't use my arms, and, you know, I'm trying to drink soup, please someone help me, and then a waitress helps you or something like that, and then you're like, actually, I'm kidding, I was fully functional in the first place, I just wanted to see if you would be kind and extend human grace to me, but instead I'm just gonna pay you money at the end and then go away and make content out of this video. And seeing things like that, at least that has some level of benefit to the person who's like the waitress helping you try and drink soup when you have no arms or anything like that. But from this instance, she's actually taken money from her audience because she was supposedly pregnant at the time and looking for more support. She got support through being pregnant, and now that she's revealed that she lost the baby, it's like, hey, I'm not actually pregnant and I took some of your guys' money, basically. It's like being ripped off. Whereas in another situation, some people just pay the other individuals that they rip off to kind of like make content. Ironically, she somehow managed to make content and also rip off her audience. And that's pretty lame to do. And that's like basically like a Logan Paul-ism. Like that's the iconic like crypto grift vibe. Like I don't understand why you would think this is a good idea. But I can't believe people do this kind of stuff and then they just reveal it. I feel like, you know, at this point, just lie to me. Like, either tell me the truth to begin with or just lie. Like, why would you reveal this? It's like the most degenerate thing you can possibly do. I just don't understand what's wrong with people. And listen, I get that I sound like a psychopath because you shouldn't lie about these things to begin with. So we're going to go through this video, break it down, and then hopefully not have a breakdown from her breaking this down. But let's just get into it.
Okay, guys, I lost the baby, and I don't know exactly where I put it. It has to be around here somewhere. Okay, so some of you guys are probably wondering, no, I am not pregnant. And I'm sure some of you are shocked. I'm sure some of you are not surprised at all. I'm sure some of you don't care. But some of you might be asking,
it's already such a self-aware concept, too. It's like, why would you lie about that? But the other thing I have to ask is it's like most people probably would believe you if you gave this much proof in your previous video talking about your emotional state, your fertility, making it very serious, not just a joke. Most people will believe you. And this is what already comes off as so disconnected. It's like, oh yeah, my audience is different. No, your audience is human and they're people. I don't know how disconnected you have to be to think that this already is like a thing where your audience kind of understands, because the satire content on her channel is not that insane. It's not like she's lied about crazy things like this before. So why would some of them not believe you? This point of the video already makes it somewhat obnoxious and disconnected.
When you're a content creator, the line between entertainment and reality is very blurred. Your audience will become very attached to an abstraction of yourself. And the odd thing is that this connection can become very personally meaningful to the viewers, whilst not being personally meaningful to the creator itself. Your attention is monetarily valuable to me. And unless you...
Okay. Everything she said is totally true. People who create content online don't tell you every single thing about their lives. If they did, you would be getting a lot more drama than you usually see in more chill vibing content online. Alright? We don't have every single YouTuber talking about every single horrible thing that's happened to them in the entire world. People are easily influenced by content that you produce online, and they also put themselves in positions where they are more willing to just sit in and watch what you have to say, because your channel is all about you or the content that you produce as a creator. It's not about them. They have that level of connection that they can make with whatever content you produce, but the reality is they're going to take these snapshots of you and from the themes that are put in your videos or in your content, kind of get an idea of your character. From animators to beauty gurus to whatever, like they're gonna try and pick up something that connects with them, which is how you garner an audience online.
Attention is monetarily valuable to me. And unless you have some narcissistic tendencies, which a lot of us do, the experience of having a parasocial relationship with your audience can be very uncomfortable. I'll give you an example.
Okay, the thing I don't understand about this is, yeah, a lot of people make YouTube videos and have channels just so that they can make money, and, you know, it's part of garnering your audience. Your audience, whether you want it to be or not, unless you do everything completely unmonetized and you don't have any sponsorships or anything like that, yeah, your content is going to give you some level of financial incentive and perpetuate you to want more financial incentive in future, because content creation is a pretty popular kind of job online. But the thing that she's saying here with how like parasocial type relationships or these kinds of relationships, these kinds of connections people build with you online, how they make you uncomfortable, don't make the content then. If you're not comfortable with people making a connection to you or being exposed online in some capacity and having the potential to have some of these individuals look at you in that sort of way, it's literally inevitable. Even if you push that you make no money off of your content and you give people the most bare bones content, people will still try and find means of connecting with you because you're human and humans make automatic human connection with other humans. It's kind of inevitable. Unless you literally sit there and stare at a camera and don't say anything, you're going to develop some level of camaraderie or have your audience more so develop a perception of you of, you know, what you're all about, and they might connect to that. They might connect to your personality, your experience, whatever. I don't understand why it's already becoming a thing where it's like, I'm uncomfortable with that. Don't be online if that's the case.
Example, when I was 15 and I first started making content, I had a lot of people threaten to rape me every day. And if you could imagine, this was not fun. And the problem with this, beyond the obvious, is that there's no meaningful way to respond to this interaction. The effect...
That's not appropriate. I don't think 15-year-olds should be on YouTube or on social media getting content pushed out, because yes, there is that inevitable kind of audience you can garner as a young person, that young, that you can garner people threatening to do these kinds of things to you, or that you can have people who are looking at you kind of inappropriately. That's inevitable, and you shouldn't be online if you're that young. The thing is, though, now, you're not 15, and if you still don't like the attention you garner online, you can just not post online. It's that easy. It's that easy. It's like, it's not that complex. Live a life without being online chronically.
Offender has anonymity, and in some way, so do I. So I'm not treating them like a real person. They're not treating me like a real person. You're not real, and I'm not real, and...
I literally say this. I literally say that nothing's real, you're not real, I'm not real. This is a snapshot of me that I can edit down. And it's true, like, as somebody who's created videos, you do cut out a lot of what you can say that you think your audience will not like. That's very common. Every single YouTuber, from Mr. Beast doing more philanthropic things, to PewDiePie, to just that little YouTuber in the corner that nobody knows about, or whatever the case is, most people will edit their content to make it more palatable for their audiences, because they don't want to put in a bunch of uncut fluff. It's going to make you basically unwatchable. But to weaponize that and be like appealing to futility almost and saying like, you're not real, I'm not real, nothing's real, my personality online isn't real, and your perception of my personality online isn't real, and the fact that you perceive me isn't real, like your perception of me isn't real. It's true in some capacity for most YouTubers and most audiences, but that doesn't justify you lying about pregnancy online. Why on earth would you appeal to this and then make everything even more fake instead of actually be honest with your audience?
None of this is real. And yet, the effect that we have on each other is still very real. I will present myself on the internet because I want to desperately be seen and to connect to other people. And a lot of you come on the internet, a lot of you will engage on the internet because you want to be seen and because you desperately want to connect to someone. I lied about being pregnant.
That is the most contradictive thing you've ever... I can't understand how you can contradict yourself in 2 sentences like that. I'm not trying to be weird and dramatic, but that sounds like an inherent immediate contradiction where it's like, nothing's real, your perception of me isn't real, the way I put my content out isn't real, but I desperately want to be seen and I want to have a genuine connection with people online. And listen, my people, I gotta tell you guys, I don't expect you to connect with me emotionally online. It might be inevitable given that I'm pretty like out there online. I just say what I feel like I should say in the moment, whatever the case is. Like, I don't really lie online. I've said some pretty ridiculous things and I've left them in the videos. But the thing on my channel that I'm really trying to always push is logic, like to be logical. And I know I say illogical things, but I want to connect with my audience on the basis that we can agree on topics, or even if we don't agree, we can come to kind of like, you know, an understanding of one another's expectations and intentions. But when you want to be desperately seen by your audience and you want to have that kind of connection, and then you automatically like kind of denounce that and also completely break down the potential that you can have by lying to your entire audience about something that's incredibly important, that you've stated is incredibly important, but actually didn't care about at all because it wasn't real. Like, that's a big deal. That's like diabolical.
I lied about being pregnant as a joke. And the joke is not that pregnancy under strenuous circumstances is funny. The joke is not that the audience was gullible enough to believe that I was pregnant. The joke is you connected to something that wasn't real. And I have become something that isn't.
So it wasn't supposed to be a joke. So it's not that you lying about the seriousness of pregnancy. What the fuck? This is like the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my entire life. I don't understand. How can you lie about this and then contradict yourself this badly?
As a joke. And the joke is not that pregnancy under strenuous circumstances is funny. The joke is...
So the joke is not that pregnancy under strenuous circumstances is funny.
Not that the audience was gullible enough to believe that I was pregnant.
The joke is not that your audience was gullible enough to believe you, even though they just had basic human kindness and they thought you were actually being genuine on your platform.
Joke is you connected to something that wasn't real. And
the joke was the connection. Your connection to this circumstance is a joke, is what they're saying. That is the most fucked up thing I've ever heard in my entire life. So human empathy is a joke. Like, this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. So this person portraying online that they have a severely stressful situation and you believing them is not the joke. The joke is that you had an emotional connection to them. Like, the joke is that you might have thought out of the kindness of your heart that this was a legitimate circumstance because of how they portrayed their emotions.
And I have become something that isn't real. We all come here to find this connection over and over again. And we don't really find it until now, when you subscribe to my Patreon.
This is the most fucked up thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Your emotional connection as an audience member to this individual who portrayed that they were pregnant doesn't matter. Your emotions or your kindness doesn't matter. That feeling that you had is an absolute falsification of reality and you are a joke. I understand that I'm biased because like my older sister soon is going to be having a kid and, you know, she's pregnant. She's going to be having one in like a few months. And to me, like, if she lied to me about being pregnant this whole time, I don't think I'd ever trust her again. And I think I'd have to disown her. Because that is absolutely a destruction of morality right there. That is, like, beyond the scope of anything that you can do. You can't, like, people lie about pregnancies, and they are demonized in society for obvious reasons. Because they're not weaponizing just their own well-being. they're like weaponizing a child in that situation that doesn't even exist, and they're causing additional stresses to everybody around them, even though that child doesn't actually exist. They're creating false variables.
Oh yeah, that's fucking right. This entire stunt has been an advertisement for my Patreon. I'm also announcing that I'm coming back to YouTube. Listen, I wanted to come back to YouTube and explain to everyone why I had been gone and what had happened to me in that time that made me want to come back. But some of you in my audience are pretty weird, and I don't blame any of you. You know, you can't help being weird, but I didn't think that it would be healthy for me to expose myself like that to all of you. And that's why I decided to keep a lot of my more sensitive information behind a paywall, where I would hope some of the audience would be more intentional with how they interact with me, because now it costs money to do so. Guys, I'm back. I'm back.
This is actually probably the worst advertisement and the worst and most illogical thing I've ever heard in my entire life. I've met, like, narcissists who lie less than this. Like, this is, like, ridiculous. This doesn't make any sense. This literally doesn't make any sense. This is the most illogical thing I've ever seen. This is the most illogical justification I've ever seen for a YouTube video lie reveal just to promote a Patreon.
And I'm back to making YouTube content. I'm so excited to be back. What better way to return to YouTube? What more ceremonious way to return to YouTube than by bringing back the advice videos? That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Caroline is back in the building. So if you are looking for advice, because I am looking for content, be sure to email your questions and concerns to consonartquestions@yahoo.com. I'm almost certain that's the email. I could be wrong.
So here's the real issue with this, is that every single thing that has been said in this video is inherently contradictive, and it's literally just a clout chase. This is not impressive. You know, every time I go onto YouTube, I lose my faith in humanity even more. This person played on the emotions of their audience. They talked about their physical health and their fertility. They talked about the insecurities they felt during the development of these circumstances in a previous video, and then they revealed that none of it was ever real because of parasocial relationships and because they didn't like how their audience perceived them online. I don't like how my audience perceives me online, so I'm gonna lie about being pregnant so that it develops even more of a serious circumstance, and then I'm gonna lie to them, and then I'm gonna say nothing's real. And, like, I can't even understand these kinds of people. You know, I don't even know what I can take home from this. This is the most scumbag way of promoting a Patreon I've ever seen in my entire life. And I remember there have been so many controversies on YouTube, but in my opinion, this is actually one of the scummiest things you can do, because it completely, like, just for making money online, plays on the emotions of your audience. Completely belittles the idea that some humans online can have empathy, care, consideration, or pity for you because you're pregnant and you're about to bring life into the world. I'm so sorry that I'm not making the best points in this video, but this kind of stuff is actually, like, so deranged that it just doesn't make sense. It's the most illogical way of being able to make that connection with your audience. It's like you created a false connection, which is going to disconnect you even more with your audience when you reveal that it was a lie, and then you want more of a connection, so you're going to paywall yourself on Patreon. That doesn't make any sense. The thing you want to take home from this is, yeah, nothing online is real. Like, you shouldn't trust people online. You should not trust anyone online, including me. The thing you need to take home is, yeah, never trust a YouTuber. Don't trust any single person online. Don't trust anything they say. Always do your own research. I say that on this channel multiple times. Always do your own research. And to be fair, there are people online who are honest with their audiences. I try to be honest with my audience too. But in reality, like, you shouldn't trust anyone online, any influencers online, anybody who's creating content online. And even when I say this, I'm even referring to myself. As much as I personally try to be honest with you guys as much as I possibly can with the content I produce, it's pretty easy because it's all like reactionary. It's pretty out there. You still shouldn't trust me. You should do your own research on what I say. And then also criticize me for things I say. Same with anybody else online. Criticism is very important, and the judgment of society is pretty important. And guarding an audience in the wake of such is not impossible. The thing I have to drive home here today is going to be that you're going to have to just not trust people online. People online lie all the time. And although I'm not particularly inclined to lie because I don't see a benefit in lying, which sounds so disconnected to state, but I try to be as logical as possible on my channel. You know, the reality is, as much as I don't lie to you guys, I don't think you should have blind trust in me or blind trust in anybody on YouTube, because this is the worst thing you can possibly do, is trust people on the internet. There's so many instances and cases of people taking advantage of their audiences because they trust the content creators that they view, because they like the things they have to say. Those individuals then see that and they take advantage of their audiences. And this is absolutely just somebody taking advantage of their audience and completely belittling them and their actual, like, kindness, like, just genuine human kindness. And sure, they can say, like, oh, well, I had people, like, threatening me at age 15. Oh, I had this, and it's not good. I'm not trying to say that that's a good thing, but I'm just saying, if you don't like those kinds of things, you just don't have to be online. And I understand it sucks when you get, like, people saying really screwed up stuff to you online. I'm sure we've all dealt with that. I've had people threaten to do all kinds of terrible things to me online. I think a lot of us, just being on Twitter, have, or X right now, have. The reality is, though, that this is not a logical means of making any kind of justification as to why you'd want to promote a Patreon this way. And also, this literally does the exact opposite of what you would intend to want to do. I'm going to lie to my entire audience, tell them I'm pregnant, and then I'm going to put myself in a position where I decide I actually am not pregnant, and I'm going to reveal that to them. So she didn't like the false connection that her audience made with her being false online, so now she's being genuine by, after lying, telling the truth, being a liar, and then weaponizing all of that to make the point that she wants a genuine connection with her audience on Patreon. That's the gist of what I've taken from this. It's the most illogical output I've ever seen in my entire life. This person deserves to have no subscribers, to be completely deplatformed in every capacity, because she's literally just a liar. It's not impressive. This isn't cool. This isn't cute. Like, the thing is, she's a really pretty girl, and I'm sure some of the content she's made is entertaining because she has garnered a decent audience online, but this is just the straw that breaks the camel's back. Like, I really wonder what her analytics look like, and I wonder if she's losing subscribers or gaining subscribers or whatever. Let's check out her Social Blade status. So her views are actually going up, and her total video views are going up, but her subscriber float seems to be staying the same. It hasn't gone up or down in a while. I'll have to check out this video as well, because it's going to give us more context for the matters that are what they are. But I just want to see, actually, what she says in her description on if it's going to be as bad as what I think it is. Hold up, I'm sorry about that. I have an announcement. This was made 2 weeks ago. 18th of April, 2024, 590,000 views, almost 591,000 views. Yup, the rumors are true. I am knocked up big time. To protect the privacy of my family and loved ones, a lot of information has purposefully been omitted from this announcement. Please understand. Kind of face. And then, anyways, very excited to exploit this child for views, and I'm so excited you're gonna help me do it. Love you all. So weird. Such a weirdo. Okay, so anyways, I'm sorry, I do not like this. I do not like this person. So 2 weeks ago, she posted that. Okay, so she put the I Lost the Baby video after that 2 weeks later, and then these are her views on Social Blade. And as you can see, the views might be kind of like all over the place here. And let me see, what, it would be like 2 weeks ago, so this would be the neck of the woods. The views have gone up. I don't think she's like really gonna, yeah, she's not gaining any subscribers. She gained 10,000 before that, before both videos I think went up. She gained 10,000 there. 0 subscribers. She's just not gaining any subscribers from the looks of it. I could be wrong, but I don't think she's gaining any subscribers. And honestly, I'm not surprised, because I'm not an audience member and I wouldn't subscribe to this kind of garbage. I'm kind of surprised that it's just flatlined and she's gained like no subscribers. I'm assuming that some people are unsubscribing and maybe other people are subscribing. I don't know. But it's pretty interesting because, you know, if I were an audience member, I would feel so morally torn if I actually had an emotional connection to this person and then tried to appeal to the fact that they lied and tried to kind of like level with it and be like, hey, it's funny, it's a joke. But I'd feel pretty ripped off as an audience member if I saw this kind of thing. And I and everybody else who isn't an audience member would also then be like, I wouldn't subscribe to this. This is the most fucked up shit ever. Why would you lie about pregnancy? Like, what's wrong with you? So I'm not too surprised as to why the sub count isn't really growing, nor isn't really like going down too much. Obviously, this is Social Blade. It might have, like, a little bit of an inaccuracy, but it's pretty interesting. I'm pretty disappointed, though, because, you know, the reality is, online, you should not trust people. Like, as much as I want you guys to trust the things I say online, I always tell you to take things with a grain of salt, do your own research, and also don't trust people online. But it's kind of disappointing because this is a very proven point that, you know, social media, being an influencer online, creating content online, you know, there is a little bit of lie to it. There's a little bit of falsification in some capacities, but more so, people just cut out the fluff, and they also cut out things they say that could be incriminating to them in the future. So, you know, I really want you guys to be able to kind of level with me on a logical basis, and we can kind of have a level of camaraderie, because I've found a lot of cool individuals who've enjoyed my content on my channel, and a lot of other people who are on YouTube have done the same thing. And it's fun. It's fun. Like, outside of money, because I don't make money on YouTube, it's a fun thing to do. I don't have any ads. I don't monetize right now. Obviously, like, I'm not that big. But even if I had a monetizable YouTube channel or I had a lot of sponsors or whatever the case is, I don't think I'd be able to do this, I don't think I'd be able to even comprehend the idea of trying to take advantage this badly of my audience in any capacity just to get clout and views and build a false emotional connection, even though people already had an emotional connection with you. And the other thing is, like, the only thing I can theorize is she didn't like the audience that she garnered online previously. Like, it was, like, maybe, like, kind of, like, more on the creepy side or something. I'm not trying to talk badly about whoever subscribes to her, but I'm really just trying to understand, like, how she thinks this would be beneficial to her. Like, I feel like this is just the worst way of going about things. I don't understand how you think that creating a false emotional connection with your audience and then destroying the connection that your audience has with you by lying to them and then revealing that you lied to them is going to build a better emotional connection on your Patreon. It's just a way of pushing your Patreon. It's the scuzziest thing you can possibly do. This kind of person sucks. They blow bubbles. I wouldn't recommend subscribing to their channel or supporting them in any way. I'd recommend, actually, this person should have people unsubscribe, because this is just kind of scuzzy. And you know what, my people? I understand that this is the internet and we lie all the time and everybody's a liar and we all have to cover up things we say because we're worried about what people will say about us and judge us and whatever people are into these days. But, you know, there's a point where, yeah, you shouldn't trust people online. You shouldn't trust whether it's me or your favorite YouTuber or someone behind a screen or somebody who makes promotional content or entertainment content or educational content or comedy or satire or whatever, or just blogs their whole life or vlogs their whole life or whatever the case is. You should not trust any of us to a point where you would invest any money into us. Sure, like, a subscription's one thing, but it's like, there's a point where you should definitely take everything that people say with a grain of salt, and you should definitely not follow people hand and foot. You should always question everything. The thing also I have to point out to you, my people, you shouldn't trust really anything that YouTubers say without, like, actually thinking for yourself. You should always think for yourself. It's one thing that I've driven into this channel a lot, is thinking for yourself and trying to kind of, you know, look at both sides of the spectrum here, but there's no other side you can look at other than, like, down. You can only look at this like it's a bad thing. This is not a good promotional form of material on your channel. Anyways, this is the video. I don't even know what to say at the end of this. I don't even know, like, what to take home from it. Basically, just don't trust YouTubers. Don't trust anybody online. I don't care if it's me. I don't care. Don't trust anybody online. You know, it sucks because, like, I would love to have an audience that I garner that I can level with and chill with and I can have a logical understanding with, because that's the biggest thing, is bypassing the concepts of emotions. Having an audience that can agree or create a good conversation with you online is, like, really freaking cool. But at the same time, you really can't hand and foot, like, trust YouTubers or people online. Even the ones that you can trust, you shouldn't trust. For your own well-being and safety, you shouldn't be insanely emotionally invested into your YouTubers that you watch. I don't care who it is. You should always take things with a grain of salt, is what I'm trying to say. But this person's mortal swine. I wouldn't recommend ever looking into anything they have to say or trusting anything they say, and I would definitely not pay for their Patreon, but that's just my opinion. Tell me what you think in the comments below. I'm disappointed in humanity at the moment. So tell me what you think in the comments below. What do you think of this individual? But yeah. And that's about it. I would say Slater with a smile on my face, but the reality is that this is not particularly humorous to me, so I'm just going to dip like dots. Anyways, it's been lovely, my people, though, even though it hasn't. I'm sorry. Anyways, I'll see you next time. Slater.